Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 5 reasons why you might not be getting that job in data science or analytics. This is a very tough job market. We haven't seen anything like this in the past 15 years that I've been working in the field. But even with that, there are some things that you can work on to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. And there are also things that are out of your control, and it's helpful to know what those are so you don't walk around feeling like it's your fault when it's not. So I'm excited to talk about this with you. Let's get into it.
I'm Dr. Christy. I'm a researcher and a data science director, and I help analysts and data scientists take their career to the next level.
So I'm going to divide these factors into it's about you or it's about them. So first, maybe your skills and experience just don't match the job description. So it's important for you to go through that job description very closely, many times if you need to, and figure out how do you match in terms of your experience, your skills, the things that you do well. And suppose you find gaps, what are you supposed to do? Well, one thing you can do is just be proactive about it. So what does that mean? If there are particular things you don't have experience in or you're not skilled in, maybe you can do a project, especially for data science and analytics, you can do a project in your personal time that would show that maybe you haven't done it at work, but you have dealt with it on your own. And these are some of the lessons you've learned. These are some of the challenges you worked around. And while it may not be work experience, it's at least some type of experience and familiarity with what's in the job description. And the other part of that is you want to figure out ways to work it into your interview answers. I have another video where I talk about that, where I call it painting the canvas. They have an ideal picture of their candidate in their mind, and you want to paint a picture of yourself, what I call painting the canvas of how you are that ideal candidate, how you look like them. And part of that is being proactive about the information that you share in your interview answers. So you don't let them guide the interview in terms of they might be asking you terrible questions that don't really give them the insight they need. You have things that you want to share about how you match that job description, and you are looking for opportunities. No matter what they ask you, you're looking for opportunities to give them that information and to share it with them. And so one of those nuggets of information you're trying to share could be this proactive effort you've done to close the gap on one of the skills or expertise that you don't have that they listed in the job description. So that would be one of your little nuggets that you're trying to work it in to one of their interview questions. And that way, even though you do have some sort of gap, you're at least proactively working to close it and at least open up a conversation with them. So the second thing is maybe you just don't interview well. It is a skill set. You are proactively sharing how you match the job description. So in a way, it doesn't matter what they ask you because you've prepared some information that you want to share, and you are going to figure out how to work it in and jump off of things that they're saying, of questions that they're asking, and work in the things that you've already decided will best illustrate how you match that job description. So as part of developing that strength with interview skills, you definitely need to practice. Part of practicing is you find lists of questions, you prepare how you're going to answer them with bullet points, and then you practice. Talk through them. Record yourself on camera. It's super uncomfortable and you feel stupid. It's good to replicate answering questions well when you're uncomfortable. And the second piece of that is you have to figure out how to come across as confident. I used to hate when people said that, I didn't understand what that meant. You can imitate somebody if you find an example of somebody that is kind of similar to you and they come across as confident. There's a lot of videos where you can find people and they seem confident, they're similar to you. You might be able to imitate that. Another thing is what I talk about in my other video of painting that canvas. When you're less focused on what they think of you and you're more focused on giving them the information to fill that canvas and paint the canvas that matches you to the job description, when you have that goal and you've prepared the statements, the stories, the bullet points, and you're clear that your canvas of who you are matches the job description, that confidence will come through. It's going to put them at ease because you know who you are, you know your strength, you know that you match the job description, and you would come there and do that work for them when they hire you. That's going to come through. So those two things were about just getting through the first round of interview, getting through the second round of interview. This next one is that either you've gotten many rounds into the interview and you can't get an offer, or Or you got an offer, but then you're not able to close it. Something happens in the negotiation phase. So that might really mean that you don't negotiate well and you're not coming across well. So for example, maybe you're coming across as difficult to work with. It's something in your tone or the way that your attitude seems to be towards your coworkers, your manager, your peers. In the way you're speaking, something is kind of showing up as like a red flag to the interview team. You want to be aware of how you come across. You want to keep it light, friendly, confident, comfortable, all those sorts of things, so that they can kind of picture what it would be like to work with you and how you would make them feel. So if in the interview you give off this like aggressive, cranky vibe, which some people do, especially in our field, they probably may not want to work with you because they feel like, oh my gosh, on a daily basis, this person is going to be like this, like cranky and having some sort of personality problem. The other aspect, especially if things are breaking down in the negotiation phase, once you got an offer and then they end up like canceling it or withdrawing it, it could be that your demands, meaning your salary range and different things that you're asking for, just aren't realistic. And so you're coming across as too demanding and too pushy and just not based in reality. So obviously you don't want to get lowballed, you don't want to do that, but you also don't want to come in with really unrealistic expectations that they're just going to shut you down, because your goal is to get that job or similar jobs that are like that. And it's important for you to evaluate if that's an issue for you and if that is what is causing things to break down and you're not able to close the deal. Hi, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It's really helpful as I'm a brand new channel getting started and it makes a huge impact. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so that was about you. These next two is when it's about them. And these are better to tolerate because they're not so much in your control, but they are red flags. And so if you feel like this is what's going on, it's actually good that they're revealing this and you can move on and you don't have to personalize it or internalize it that there's something about you, because we've already talked about what those are. And if it's not of those things, it's most likely about them. So the first issue that they might be having is that the hiring team might not know what they want, or there's some toxic issue going on. And either way, it means that they're not able to come to a decision and make a decision about you. So if they don't know what they want, they're just not agreeing on what they want. They're not agreeing on the qualities, the characteristics, the background, the expertise, the candidates. Like, they're just not able to agree because they don't know what they want. And what that means is no one's going to be a good fit, and that's probably why they're struggling. And you'll see that job just opening will pop up again or keep popping up. Like, you can get those flags. The other possibility in terms of a toxic situation is just like power dynamics and just politics at work. There may be something like that that's blocking your hire, whether one team is threatened that if you got hired, then the team you work for would outperform their team. Like, there's all this like internal stuff that can happen internally related to politics and things like that. And obviously, either way, you don't want to be anywhere near that. So you can usually tell in the interview that they're just looking for an excuse to rule you out as a candidate. And that's good. You want that information because you don't want to be stuck there. You want to go where they want you and they value you and they plan to treat you well. You don't want to be somewhere where they're going to be weird and there's all this like toxic, weird political stuff going on. So it's actually good. And the second reason, which is also the final one I'm going to cover today, is just budget reasons. So they may be having those sorts of issues where they got budget approved for the role and then now that budget has gone to somebody else, or they have financial problems and their budget got closed and the role is going on hold and freeze and all this stuff that happens. And they might tell you this. Sometimes they're embarrassed and they don't tell you and they pretend like it's your fault. But sometimes they'll just come out and say, we're putting the role on hold. We're putting it, it's being frozen. We'll contact you later. And that's also good. You don't really want to be anywhere near that. You want to go to an organization that's healthy, that's doing well, revenue is coming in, profits are coming in. They're not going to lay you off. They're going to be excited that you're there. That's the kind of place you want to go. You don't want to go to some weird place that's having some kind of issue and they're like back and forth with the role and the budget and all those sorts of things. So take it as a positive. If either of those things happen to you, those are good red flags that you want to pay attention to, and you can be glad that it didn't work out and you're not going to be stuck there. So that's it for today. I hope this is helpful. If you like this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.